The Forgotten Colony. The morning sun of Kepler 442b cast long shadows across Research Colony Meridian as Dr. Maya Chen stood at the observation deck, watching the purple-orange sunrise paint the alien landscape. 18 months had passed since the last supply ship from Earth, and their small colony of 87 people was running out of time. Maya pressed her palm against the cool metal wall and closed her eyes. As the colony's senior administrator, she carried the weight of every decision on her shoulders. The hydroponics gardens were failing despite engineer Marcus Webb's best efforts. Their medical supplies were nearly gone. Most critically, their fusion reactor was showing signs that would require replacement parts they simply didn't have. "Still no word from Earth?" asked Sarah Lopez, the communications officer, as she joined Maya at the window. Her usually bright demeanor had grown dim over the past months of silence. Maya shook her head. "The quantum relay is working perfectly. Our messages are getting through. But something's happened back home. Something big enough that they've forgotten about us completely." The sub-colony had been established 3 years ago as a joint scientific research facility. Kepler 442b was a remarkable world, with unique mineral formations and an atmosphere that could be terraformed with the right technology. The 87 colonists included geologists, biologists, engineers, and their families who had volunteered for this frontier assignment. Marcus Webb emerged from the engineering section, his work coverall stained with coolant fluid. At 45, he was the oldest member of the colony and had served on 3 different frontier worlds. His weathered face showed the strain of keeping their failing systems operational. "I've got maybe 2 more weeks before the primary power grid fails completely," he announced grimly. "After that, we're looking at basic life support only. No heating, no communications, no hydroponics." Maya felt her stomach tighten. Winter was approaching on this hemisphere of the planet, and without proper heating, they wouldn't survive the sub-zero temperatures. The emergency shelters were designed for short-term use, not long-term habitation. "What about the backup generators?" she asked. "Running on fumes. We've been cannibalizing parts from the mining equipment just to keep the lights on." Marcus ran a hand through his graying hair. "Maya, I have to be honest with you. Without a miracle, we're not going to make it through the winter." The weight of 87 lives pressed down on Maya's shoulders. She had been chosen to lead this colony because of her ability to make tough decisions under pressure. But no training had prepared her for this complete abandonment by Earth. 3 days later, Sarah's excited voice crackled over the colony's intercom system. "Maya, Marcus, get to communications immediately. I'm picking up something on the long-range sensors." Maya and Marcus rushed to the communications center, where Sarah was hunched over her console, her fingers dancing across holographic displays. The main screen showed a tactical view of their solar system, with several red dots moving inward from the outer planets. 12 ships, Sarah reported breathlessly. "Large ones. They're using some kind of propulsion system I've never seen before. They'll be here in 6 hours." Maya's heart leaped with hope. "Earth Navy?" Sarah shook her head slowly. "The energy signatures are completely wrong. These aren't human ships." The command center fell silent except for the humming of computers. Maya stared at the screen, watching the red dots grow closer. In 3 years of operation, they had never encountered any signs of alien life. Now, with their colony on the verge of collapse, first contact was happening whether they wanted it or not. "Can we send a message?" Maya asked. "I'm trying standard first contact protocols," Sarah replied. "Mathematical sequences, prime numbers, basic physics constants, but they're not responding." Marcus was studying the tactical display with a frown. "Those ships are huge. Each one is at least twice the size of our largest colony ship. If they're hostile..." He didn't need to finish the sentence. The colony had no weapons beyond basic security equipment. They were researchers, not soldiers. Maya made a decision. "General alert. All families to the emergency shelters. Senior staff to the command center. If these visitors are friendly, we'll welcome them properly. If not, we need to be ready." The next few hours passed in tense preparation. Parents gathered their children and headed for the underground shelters built into the natural cave systems beneath the colony. The senior staff worked frantically to hide their most important research data and establish communication protocols. As the alien fleet entered orbit around Kepler 442b, Maya stood in the command center surrounded by her department heads. Through the main view screen, she could see the alien ships as bright dots against the starfield. They were sleek, organic-looking vessels that seemed to pulse with internal energy. "Incoming transmission," Sarah announced. "They're using our own communication frequencies." The main screen flickered, and suddenly Maya was looking at something that would haunt her dreams for months to come. The alien was tall and thin, with grayish-green skin that seemed to shift like liquid mercury. Its eyes were large and completely black, and it had no visible mouth, though its voice came through their speakers with perfect clarity. "Primitive species of this world," the alien said in emotionless English. "I am Commander Zeth of the Nexari Collective. Your planet has been selected for resource extraction. You will surrender immediately and submit to relocation processing." Maya stepped forward, trying to keep her voice steady. "I'm Dr. Maya Chen, Administrator of Research Colony Meridian. We're a peaceful scientific mission from Earth. We're willing to discuss—" "There is nothing to discuss," Commander Zeth interrupted. "Your species is unknown to the Collective. You have no territorial claims recognized by the Galactic Council. This world and its resources now belong to us. But we're people," Maya protested. "We have families here, children. Surely we can reach some kind of agreement." The alien's head tilted slightly as if considering an interesting scientific specimen. "You will be transported to processing centers where your biological compatibility will be assessed. Useful specimens will be retained for labor assignments. The rest will be terminated." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Maya felt sick to her stomach. These aliens weren't interested in diplomacy or coexistence. They saw humans as nothing more than potential resources to be harvested. "They're launching smaller craft," Sarah reported, her voice shaking. "Hundreds of them, heading for the surface." Maya looked around at her staff. These people had volunteered to help humanity expand into the stars. They deserved better than to be harvested like crops by indifferent aliens. "All hands to emergency stations," she announced over the intercom. "This is not a drill. We are under attack by hostile alien forces. All civilians to the deep shelters immediately." The next few hours were chaos. The alien landing craft touched down all around the colony, disgorging troops in powered armor that moved with inhuman precision. The colonists' basic security weapons were useless against the aliens' advanced technology. Maya watched from the command center as her people were systematically hunted down and captured. Families were torn apart. The elderly and infirm were simply eliminated where they stood. The aliens showed no emotion, no mercy, no recognition that they were dealing with sentient beings. "Maya, we have to go," Marcus urged, grabbing her arm. "They're in the main complex." But Maya was working frantically at the communications console. "Just give me 30 more seconds. I'm trying to get a message out to Earth." The doors to the command center exploded inward and alien soldiers poured in. Maya's fingers flew over the controls, sending out everything she could in one compressed data burst. Colony location, number of survivors, details about their captors, and one desperate plea for help. The message launched just as an alien weapon struck her in the back, sending waves of paralysis through her body. As she collapsed to the floor, she saw Marcus and Sarah being dragged away by the invaders. The last thing she heard before unconsciousness took her was the sound of her equipment being destroyed. 8 months later, Maya knelt in the crystalline mines deep beneath Kepler 442b's surface, her hands raw and bleeding from digging with primitive tools. Of the original 87 colonists, only 61 remained alive. The aliens had processed them exactly as promised, keeping only those deemed useful for manual labor. The work was backbreaking. 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, extracting rare minerals that the aliens used in their technology. The overseers showed no interest in human welfare beyond keeping them alive enough to work. Food was minimal, medical care non-existent, and any sign of rebellion was met with swift execution. But Maya had not given up hope. None of them had. In whispered conversations during their brief rest periods, they shared stories of Earth, of home, of the people they had left behind. They reminded each other that they were more than just labor units. They were human beings, and human beings never stopped fighting. Marcus, now gaunt and weathered from months of hard labor, worked beside her in the mines. "Do you think anyone got our message?" he whispered, as they loaded another cart with crystals. Maya paused in her work, wiping sweat from her forehead. "I have to believe someone did. Somewhere out there, Earth knows what happened to us." She looked up at the cavern ceiling, imagining the stars beyond. "And if I know humanity, they won't. Just let this go unanswered." High above them, in the cold vacuum of space, something moved in the shadows between the stars. Something that had been watching, learning, and preparing for the right moment to strike back. The Nexari Collective had made a critical error in their assessment of humanity. They had encountered a small, isolated colony and assumed all humans were equally helpless. They had never bothered to investigate the true nature of the species they had enslaved. They were about to learn that humans were very different when they were angry. When Humanity Strikes Back 8 months after Colony Meridian's final transmission, Admiral Rebecca Stone stood in the war room of Luna Station, studying the holographic display of the Kepler 442 system. The 60-year-old veteran had fought in the Martian Independence War and helped establish humanity's first interstellar colonies. She had never seen a threat quite like this. "Replay the last transmission," she ordered. The room filled with Dr. Maya Chen's desperate voice. "This is Colony Meridian. We are under attack by hostile alien forces calling themselves the Nexari Collective. 87 civilians being captured for forced labor. They have superior technology and show no interest in negotiation. If anyone receives this message, please remember us. Please don't let them win." Admiral Stone clenched her fists. The political debate on Earth had raged for months. Some argued that Colony Meridian was too far away to help. Others claimed that provoking unknown aliens could endanger Earth itself. But Stone had been working behind the scenes, preparing humanity's response. "Status report on the Vengeance," she commanded. Captain Jake Morrison stepped forward, his young face serious despite his 32 years. He had been hand-picked to command humanity's most advanced warship, a vessel that pushed the boundaries of known physics. "All systems operational, Admiral. The quantum cloaking device is functioning within parameters. The stellar lance weapons are charged and ready. My crew of 200 is prepared for immediate deployment." Stone nodded. The UES Vengeance represented 5 years of secret military research, incorporating technologies that other species had deemed too dangerous to develop. Humanity had no such reservations. "Remember, Captain, this isn't just a rescue mission. The Nexari Collective needs to understand that humanity is not a species to be trifled with. We're sending a message that will be heard across the galaxy." 48 hours later, the Vengeance dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. The ship was completely invisible to normal sensors, its quantum cloaking field bending space-time around the vessel. Captain Morrison stood on the bridge, surrounded by the best officers humanity could produce. His tactical officer, Commander Lisa Park, was analyzing the alien positions. His chief engineer, Dr. Robert Kim, monitored the experimental systems that could either save them or destroy them all. "Sensor sweep complete," reported Park. 14 Nexari vessels in orbit around the planet. They've established a massive mining operation on the surface. I'm detecting human life signs in underground facilities. Morrison felt his jaw tighten. "How many?" "Approximately 60 survivors, Captain. They appear to be confined in forced labor camps." Dr. Kim looked up from his engineering console with concern. "Captain, the stellar lance is drawing enormous amounts of power. If we fire it at full capacity, there's a 15% chance it could overload our entire power grid." Morrison had studied the technical specifications extensively. The stellar lance could channel and focus the energy of a star, creating a beam capable of destroying entire fleets. It was a weapon of unprecedented destructive power, and it was completely untested in combat conditions. "Noted, Doctor. But those people down there have been waiting 8 months for rescue. We're not going to fail them now." For the next 6 hours, the Vengeance moved silently through the system, gathering intelligence and positioning itself for maximum tactical advantage. Morrison studied every detail of the alien deployment, looking for weaknesses in their formation. The Nexari had grown complacent during their occupation. Their ships maintained loose patrol patterns, and their defensive systems were operating at minimal power. They had no reason to expect an attack from a species they considered primitive. "All stations, prepare for combat operations," Morrison announced. "We'll begin with the Stellar Lance to eliminate their command vessel, then move to conventional weapons for the remainder of their fleet. Remember, we want to send a clear message about human capabilities." Deep in the minds of Kepler 442b, Maya Chen paused in her work as she felt a strange vibration through the rock. The other prisoners looked up in confusion as dust began falling from the cavern ceiling. "What's happening?" whispered Sarah Lopez, who had somehow survived the months of brutal labor despite her slight frame. Before Maya could answer, the entire cavern shook violently. Emergency lighting flickered, and somewhere in the distance they heard the sound of alien voices shouting in panic. Marcus Webb, his face covered in crystalline dust, grabbed Maya's arm. That felt like weapons fire. Something big. Maya's heart began to race. Could it be possible? After 8 months of silence, had Earth finally come for them? In orbit above the planet, the UES Vengeance decloaked directly behind the Nexari command ship. Captain Morrison watched as his tactical display showed the alien vessel in perfect detail. "Target acquired," reported Commander Park. "Stellar Lance ready to fire." Morrison took a deep breath. This moment would determine humanity's future in the galaxy. They could remain hidden, continue to be seen as a primitive species to be exploited, or they could announce their presence with a demonstration of power that would make every alien species reconsider their assumptions about humans. "Fire the Stellar Lance." A beam of pure stellar energy erupted from the Vengeance's primary weapon array. The concentrated power of a star, focused and directed by human engineering, struck the Nexari command ship at near light speed. The alien vessel, designed to withstand conventional weapons, simply ceased to exist in a flash of brilliant light. The remaining 13 Nexari ships immediately began emergency maneuvers, but they were facing technology they had never encountered. Human weapons, based on principles that other species considered too risky to develop, tore through their formations with devastating efficiency. "Quantum torpedoes away," announced the weapons officer. Direct hits on multiple targets. The torpedoes used controlled quantum fluctuations to destabilize matter at the subatomic level. Nexari shields, designed to deflect energy weapons, offered no protection against weapons that attacked the fundamental structure of reality itself. Within minutes, 12 of the 14 alien ships were destroyed. The remaining 2 vessels attempted to flee, but the Vengeance's superior speed and maneuverability made escape impossible. "Incoming transmission from the surviving Nexari ships," reported the communications officer. "Put it through," Morrison ordered. The main screen showed a Nexari commander, his usually emotionless face displaying what could only be described as terror. "Unknown human vessel, we surrender. Please cease your attack." Morrison's expression was cold. "I am Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earthship Vengeance. You have enslaved and murdered innocent civilians. Surrender was not an option you offered them. We did not know humans possessed such advanced weapons," the alien pleaded. "We followed standard collective protocols for resource acquisition." "Your protocols are about to change," Morrison replied. "You will immediately release all human prisoners and withdraw from this system. You will also transmit a message to your collective leadership. Tell them that humanity is under the protection of the United Earth Navy. Any further attacks on human colonies will be met with total annihilation." The final 2 Nexari ships were destroyed moments later, their wreckage joining the debris field that had once been a fearsome alien fleet. On the planet's surface, Maya Chen emerged from the underground mines to see human dropships landing all around the former colony site. Soldiers in advanced armor were securing the area while medical teams rushed to treat the survivors. A young captain approached her, removing his helmet to reveal a concerned human face. "Dr. Chen, I'm Captain Sarah Blake, United Earth Marines. We're here to take you home." Maya looked around at her fellow survivors, many of them crying with relief and joy. After 8 months of hopelessness, they were finally free. "How did you find us?" she asked. Captain Blake smiled. "Your message reached Earth. It took us some time to prepare an appropriate response, but Admiral Stone wanted to make sure we sent the right message to the galaxy." Maya looked up at the sky, where the debris of the Nexari fleet was still visible as brief flashes of light in the atmosphere. "What kind of message?" "That humanity doesn't abandon its own, and that anyone who threatens human lives will face consequences they can't imagine." 6 months later, Dr. Maya Chen stood once again at the observation deck of Colony Meridian, now rebuilt and expanded with full Earth Navy protection. The colony had not only survived but grown, attracting new settlers who wanted to be part of humanity's expanding presence in the galaxy. The Nexari Collective had indeed transmitted humanity's message throughout the galactic community. No alien species had attacked a human colony since the Battle of Kepler 442. Some had even reached out to establish peaceful trade relationships, recognizing that humans were a force to be respected rather than exploited. Marcus Webb joined her at the window, looking out at the construction of a new defensive orbital station. "Hard to believe it's only been a year since we thought we were all going to die down in those mines." Maya nodded, watching as Earth Navy patrol vessels conducted their regular sweeps of the system. "We learned something important about ourselves during those months, about what humans are capable of when we're pushed to our limits." Sarah Lopez approached them, now serving as the colony's communications director. "I just received word from Earth Command. 3 more colonies are being established in this sector, all with full military protection from the start." Maya smiled. The Nexari Collective had intended to harvest a small human outpost for its resources. Instead, they had triggered the expansion of human civilization across multiple star systems. They had wanted to eliminate a threat to their dominance, but had only succeeded in awakening a sleeping giant. "Sometimes," Maya said quietly, "the best way to defeat your enemies is to let them underestimate you. The Nexari thought we were just a small, helpless colony. They never bothered to investigate what kind of species we really are." She looked up at the stars, knowing that somewhere out there, other species were learning about humanity for the first time. Some would choose to be friends and allies. Others might choose to be enemies. But after the Battle of Kepler 442, no one would ever again mistake humans for helpless prey. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Humanity might be young, but they were far from defenseless. And when you threaten their own, they don't just fight back. They make sure the threat can never rise again. The age of human expansion among the stars had truly begun.